Hi authors, go and ask ChatGPT to recommend books in your exact subgenre right now. Seriously, open it up, type recommend some, whatever you write, British crime thrillers, small town cozy mysteries, enemies to lovers, romance set by the sea, whatever your lane is. Now look at the answer. Are you in it? Probably not. And here's the thing. The reason you're not in that answer is almost certainly the same reason you've been struggling with discoverability everywhere else. Amazon, Google, social media, all of it. You have a clarity problem, and a new technology just made that clarity problem measurable. Hi, I'm Steve Kelly. This is Truth Bombs, so let's get into it. There's a new acronym doing the rounds in author groups and marketing threads. GEO, Generative Engine Optimisation. And as soon as a new acronym appears, the industry does what it always does. SEO is dead. Google is finished. If AI doesn't recommend your book, you're invisible. You need to rewrite everything. Listen, you don't, but you might need to finish something you should have done years ago. Because GEO isn't actually new. It's not some terrifying shift that changes the game overnight. What it does is expose a weakness that was already there, and that's vagueness. And vagueness has been costing indie authors money since long before anyone heard the word GEO. Let me explain. So what SEO actually is and why authors get it wrong. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. It's been around for decades. The basic idea is simple. Somebody types a question into Google, Google scans its index and decides which pages best answer that question. Then it ranks them. You click a link, you land on a page. That's it. For indie authors, SEO touches more than you think. Your website, your author bio, your blog posts, your YouTube descriptions, your podcast titles, your Amazon listings, your book description. Anywhere a search engine can read text, SEO applies. Now, here's where most authors go wrong with it. They think SEO means stuffing keywords into everything. It doesn't. SEO is about matching intent. If somebody searches best dystopian crime novels 2025 and your website says, I write stories that explore darkness and humanity, you won't rank, not because you're a bad writer, because you didn't answer the question. If your website says British crime thrillers set in Manchester featuring DCI Tess Hart, now Google knows what you are. Now it can match you to the right search. SEO rewards clarity, and it always has. And most indie authors have been ignoring that for years. They write poetic bios. They use vague descriptions. They describe their books in ways that sound lovely, but tell a search engine absolutely nothing. Let me give you a specific example of how this plays out. So you've written a cozy mystery series set in the Cotswolds. Your protagonist is a retired librarian who solves murders. It's a classic setup. Readers love this kind of thing. Your Amazon description starts with, when the past comes knocking, one woman must find the courage to face what lies beneath the surface of a quiet village. That could be anything, a literary novel, a thriller, a ghost story, a cozy mystery. A search engine reads that sentence and has no idea what shelf to put you on. Neither does a reader scanning through the results, by the way. Now imagine it starts with, retired librarian Margaret Hale thought life in the Cotswolds would be quiet. Then her neighbour turned up dead in the village bookshop. Same book, but now Google and the reader know exactly what this is. Cozy mystery, Cotswolds, amateur detective, bookshop setting. That's the difference. And it has nothing to do with writing quality. It's about whether your description does the job, which is to get the right reader to click. Most authors write descriptions like they're writing back cover copy for a literary prize submission. You're not. You're writing a sales page. The job is clarity first, poetry second. That's not an SEO problem. That's a positioning problem. And it's been hurting authors long before AI entered the conversation. Remember that, because it's about to become very relevant. So what GEO is and isn't. GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimisation, as we said earlier. Instead of typing a query into Google and getting 10 blue links, more and more people are asking AI tools, chat, Google's AI overviews, Perplexity, Copilot, and they're getting a written answer. No links, no list of opinions, a synthesized response. So if you ask, recommend some modern British crime thrillers, the AI doesn't show you 10 websites. It writes a paragraph. It names specific books and authors. It pulls from web content, metadata, structured descriptions, reviews, and patterns across multiple sources. Then it stitches it together into an answer. That's the fundamental difference from ranking. SEO is competitive ordering. Who gets to number 1, number 2, number 3 in a list? GEO is about inclusion, whether you get mentioned at all. And this is the bit that matters to us authors. With SEO, you could be on page 2 of Google and still get some traffic. Someone scrolls far enough, they'll find you. With the generative answer, you're either in the response or you're not. There's no page 2. There's no scrolling. The AI either knows you are there or it doesn't. So the question becomes, what does AI use to decide who gets mentioned? And the answer is going to sound very familiar. Clarity, consistency, specificity. The same things that good marketing has always required. Here's your truth bomb. Vagueness now has a price tag. Here's the insight I want you to sit with. Before AI search, being vague about your positioning was a slow leak. It cost you money, but it was invisible. You'd never know exactly how many readers bounced off your Amazon page because the description didn't tell them what they were getting. You'll never know how many Google searches you missed because your website talked about exploring the human condition instead of saying, I write psychological thrillers set in rural Scotland. That leak was there. You just couldn't see it. GEO makes that leak visible because now you can literally test it. Open ChatGPT, ask it to recommend books in your subgenre, as I said earlier. If you're not in the answer, your positioning isn't clear enough for the AI to identify you. And it's not clear enough for AI. I promise you, it wasn't clear enough for most of your readers neither. I tried this myself. I asked ChatGPT to recommend books in a few different subgenres. Then I looked at who came up and who didn't. The authors who'd appeared consistently had a few things in common. Their Amazon descriptions were specific. Their website named the genre in plain English. Their Goodreads profile matched their Amazon profile. Readers of their books used consistent language because the authors themselves had established that language. The authors who didn't appear had vague descriptions, inconsistent genre framing across platforms, beautifully poetic bios that could describe any book in any genre. These weren't bad authors. Some of them were excellent writers. They just hadn't given the internet enough structured information to know what they actually wrote. The authors who are panicking about GEO right now are mostly authors who were already vague. They just didn't know it was costing them because there was no way to measure it. The authors who've been specific, clear genre, clear tropes, consistent descriptions across every platform are mostly already showing up in AI recommendations. They didn't do anything special for GEO. They just did good marketing. That's the truth bomb. GEO isn't a new game. It's the same game with a scoreboard that's suddenly visible. So how does AI actually decide who gets mentioned? Let me demystify this because there's a lot of nonsense floating around. AI recommendation engines don't have a secret list. They don't have preferences. They don't browse Amazon in their spare time forming opinions. They read text, lots of it, from lots of sources. Your Amazon book description, your author bio on your website, your Goodreads profile, your podcast description, reviews of your books, blog posts about your book, interviews you've done, social media bios, all of it. The AI reads all of that and builds a picture. If that picture is clear and consistent, it can confidently include you in a recommendation. If the picture is muddied, it skips you, not out of malice, but out of uncertainty. Think of it like asking a friend for a restaurant recommendation. If 3 people have told them there's an amazing Thai place on the high street, great pad Thai, always busy on a Friday, they'll recommend it confidently. If 3 people have said 3 different things, it's sort of Asian fusion, I think they do noodles, it's near the station maybe, your friend won't mention it. It might be brilliant, but they can't describe it clear enough for the recommendation. That's how AI works with authors. If your Amazon page says crime thriller, your website says dark literary fiction, and your Instagram bio says storyteller and dreamer, the AI doesn't know what you are, so it doesn't mention you. If every source says British police procedural set in Manchester featuring a flawed female detective, the AI knows exactly what you are, and when somebody asks for that type of book, bang, you're in the answer. The consistency piece is what most authors miss. It's not enough to be specific in one place. You need to be specific the same way everywhere. And this is where I see authors trip up most often. They nail their Amazon description, proper genre, language, clear tropes, specific settings, and then their website will say something completely different. On their Goodreads profile will be a paragraph they wrote 3 years ago that doesn't match anything anymore. You might think that doesn't matter. Who checks Goodreads? AI does. AI reads everything. It doesn't care which platform is your priority. It treats every source of information about you as equally valid. And when those sources disagree, it doesn't pick the best one. It gets confused, and confused AIs don't recommend you. Think about how many places your author identity exists: Amazon, website, Goodreads, social media, podcasts, guest blog posts you wrote, interviews you gave. Each one is a data point that the AI is reading. If 8 out of 10 of those data points say the same thing, AI has confidence. If 5 say one thing and 5 say another, AI has doubt, and doubt means silence. This is why the consistency audit matters so much, not just for AI, for readers too. A reader who finds you on Instagram, clicks through to your website and sees what feels like a different author, that reader bounces. You've lost them at the handoff. Same problem, different technology. Let's look at the afternoon audit. Here's something practical you can do today, not next month. You can do it today. I call this the afternoon audit because it takes about 3 hours if you sit down and do it properly. Pull up every place your author identity exists online. We've mentioned them already. Your Amazon author page, your book descriptions, your website, your about page, your Goodreads bio, your social media bios, all of them. Your podcast descriptions if you have a podcast, your newsletter welcome email. Now read them all back to back. Do they describe the same author? Not in vague, well, they're all me sense. I mean specifically, do you use the same genre language? Do they name the same tropes? Do they describe the books in a way that a stranger or an AI could immediately understand what you write? If your Amazon page says gripping thriller that will keep you turning pages and your website says literary fiction exploring moral complexity, you've got a problem, and it's been costing you readers for years. GEO just made it impossible to ignore. Here's what your descriptions need. I'm going to give you a formula because I know some of you need one. Genre, setting, hook, comparable flavor. British police procedural set in Manchester featuring a detective investigating cases the system once buried. Or small town coastal romance set in Cornwall with enemies to lovers tension and a second chance love story. Or cyberpunk detective noir set in a corporate controlled future Los Angeles. Notice what those all have in common. You know exactly what the book is within one sentence. A human reader can tell instantly whether it's for them, and an AI can match it to a query without guessing. Now let me break down why each piece matters. Genre tells the reader and the algorithm what shelf you're on. Don't be clever with this. If you write thrillers, say thrillers. If you write cozy mystery, say cozy mystery. Save the creativity for the actual book. Settings give specificity. A thriller could be anything. A thriller set in 1990s Berlin is something different. Settings narrows the field and makes your findability by people who want exactly that. Hook is the premise in one line. What's the situation? What's the tension? A detective investigating cases the system once buried tells you what the story is about without spoiling anything. The comparable flavor is optional but powerful. If you write something that fans of a specific author would enjoy, that's useful information. Not the next lead child, that claim you probably can't back up. But for readers who like Val McDermid's darker procedurals, that's positioning. That tells a reader and an AI exactly where you sit. Now go through every platform and make them match. Same genre language, same setting references, same trope terms. This isn't about being robotic. Your blurb can still have personality and voice, but underneath the personality, there needs to be a structural layer that says clearly why this book is. Think of it like your house. The structural layer is the foundations and the frame. The personality is the paint and the furniture. You need both, but without the structure, the personality is just decoration on something that doesn't stand up. Let's talk about the trope language thing. This deserves its own moment because it's where a lot of authors resist, and I get why. You spent months, maybe years, writing something you believe is unique, something that transcends simple categories, something that can't be reduced to a label. And then I'm telling you, put enemies to lovers in your description. It feels reductive, I understand, but trope language matters, not because tropes reduce your art, because tropes are how readers search. Nobody types a nuanced exploration of desire and emotional reconnection into a search bar. They type second chance romance. Nobody types a tension-filled narrative of opposing personalities forced into proximity. They type enemies to lovers. If you write in romance, you already know this. Romance is probably the most trope-literate game in publishing. Readers search by trope. They filter by trope, they recommend by trope, and romance authors who embrace that language outsell romance authors who resist it consistently. But this applies to every genre, and most authors outside romance haven't caught on yet. Crime readers search for locked room mystery and unreliable narrator and cold case detective series and police procedural and forensic thriller. Fantasy readers search for grim dark and found family and magic system and portal fantasy and chosen one. Thriller readers search for domestic thriller or missing person, psychological suspense or conspiracy theory. Sci-fi readers search for space opera or hard sci-fi or generation ship or first contact. These are the terms AI uses too, because AI learns from how humans search and describe things. If thousands of readers use the phrase locked room mystery when recommending books, AI learns that locked room mysteries is a meaningful category. And when somebody asks for a locked room mystery recommendation, AI looks for books that have been described using that exact language. So when you write your book description and you dance around the tropes because you think naming them is reductive, you're not protecting your art. You're making yourself invisible to the exact readers who would love your book. Use the trope words, put them in your descriptions, put them in your Amazon keywords, put them in your website copy. You can still write a beautiful nuanced blurb, but somewhere in it, the structural terms need to be present. Your book can be both literary and a locked room mystery. Those aren't opposites. One is the quality of the writing, the other is how the reader finds it. So what about the SEO is dead crowd? Let me address this directly because you'll hear it a lot. SEO is not dead, it's changing. Google still produces billions of searches a day. Amazon's search algorithm still drives the majority of book discovery on that platform. YouTube is still the second largest search engine in the world. What's changing is that AI-generated answers are sitting on top of traditional search in some contexts. Google's AI overviews, Bing's Copilot integration, these summarize results before you even get the blue links. Yes, fewer people are clicking through into individual pages in some categories. That's real. But here's what the SEO is dead crowd gets wrong. AI answers are built from SEO-optimized content. The AI doesn't make things up from nothing. It reads the web pages. It reads the same content Google indexes. It favors the same structure, clear, authoritative sources that rank well in traditional search. So if you optimize SEO properly, clear descriptions, relevant keywords, structured content, you're simultaneously optimizing for GEO. They're not opposites. GEO is built on top of SEO. The authors who struggle are the ones who never did either. So here's one more thing worth remembering. Amazon's search algorithm, the one that actually sells most indie books, hasn't changed. It's still keyword driven. It still rewards relevant metadata. It still prioritizes sales velocity and conversion rates. GEO is primarily about web search and AI assistance. Amazon is its own world, its own search engine. So even if you do nothing about GEO, the fundamentals of Amazon's discoverability are the same as they were last year. Do both if you can, but if you're going to prioritize, make sure your Amazon metadata is typed first. That's still where the money is for most indie authors. So what you don't need to do. I want to be really clear about this because the temptation is to overcomplicate it. And there are people out there who profit from you overcomplicating it. You do not need to rewrite your entire catalog. Your books are fine. We're talking about descriptions and metadata, not your prose. You don't need to hire a GEO consultant. If somebody is selling you a GEO course for authors right now, be very skeptical. The field is about 6 months old, and anyone claiming to be an expert is making it up as they go along. The principles aren't complicated enough to justify a course. Clarity, consistency, specificity. That's it. I just told you for free. You do not need to obsess over this daily. This is not a daily task. It's a one-time audit with occasional maintenance. Do the afternoon audit, update your platforms, and then check back every few months or whenever you publish a new book. That's the whole maintenance schedule. You do not need to make your writing robotic or keyword stuffed. You're talking about metadata, descriptions, and bios, not your fiction, not your stories, not your voice. Your craft stays yours. GEO doesn't care how you write your novels. It cares how you describe them. You do not need to be on every AI platform. You don't need to create profiles on ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever comes next. AI reads your existing web presence. If your website and Amazon page are clear, AI can already find you. And you absolutely do not need to panic about AI replacing book discovery overnight. This is a gradual shift. It's happened over years, not weeks. Some readers are using AI for recommendations now. Most aren't. You have time to adjust. This is an opportunity to get ahead, not a crisis you're already buried behind. So what you need to do, 3 things. That's it. 1, do the afternoon audit. Go through every platform where you exist as an author. Make your descriptions consistent and specific. Same genre language, same setting references, same trope terms. 3 hours of work, and it probably improves your discoverability more than anything else you've done this year. And when I say every platform, I mean it. Here's the checklist. Amazon author page, each individual book description, your website homepage, your website about page, your Goodreads profile, your Twitter or X bio, your Instagram bio, your TikTok bio, if you're on it, your Facebook author page description, your newsletter welcome email, your podcast descriptions, if you have one, your LinkedIn, if you use that for your author stuff. That sounds like a lot. It's not. Most of these are sentence or 2. And once you've written your positioning sentence, you're mostly copying and pasting with minor tweaks to each platform. Number 2, write one clear positioning sentence and use it everywhere. Genre plus setting plus hook. That's the sentence that becomes the backbone of your Amazon description, your website homepage, your social bios, your podcast intro. You know that list. We're going to keep going through it. Every time a new platform asks, tell us about yourself, you start with that sentence. Here's a test. If somebody reads your positioning sentence and can't tell what genre you write, where it's set, and what makes it interesting, it's not clear enough yet. Rewrite it. Ask a friend who hasn't read your books to read the sentence and tell you what they think you write. If they get it right, you're there. Number 3, keep doing what you were already doing. Writing books, building your email list, improving your read through, publishing consistently. GEO does not change the fundamentals. Catalog still matters. Lifetime reader value still matters. Your email list still matters. All GEO does is add one more reason to be clear about what you write. And honestly, if you did the work from episode 1, back matter, reader magnet, email capture, you're already ahead of the game. You've built the structure. GEO is just making sure the sign on the front of the building is readable. So what's the bigger picture? Here's where I want to leave you. Every few years, something comes along that makes the author community lose its mind. Algorithm changes, KU page flip scandals, book talk, AI generated books flooding the market, and now GEO. Every time the pattern is the same. Panic first, overcorrect second. People rewrite their entire strategy based on a YouTube video or a Facebook group thread. And then 6 months later, the authors who stayed calm and focused on fundamentals are fine. The ones who chased the panic are worse off than before. GEO is no different. It rewards what good marketing has always rewarded. Clarity, consistency, specificity. Knowing who your reader is and being easy for them to find. If you've been doing that already, you're ahead of most authors without changing a thing. If you haven't, this is a good reason to start. Not because AI is scary, but because being clear about what you write was always going to help you sell more books. GEO just gave you one more kick to get it sorted. And here's the bit that should actually make you feel good about this. GEO is one of the few industry changes that actually favors smaller authors. Think about it. The bigger publishers have been sloppy about metadata for years because they could afford to be. They've had shelf space, brand recognition, and marketing budgets. They didn't need to worry about whether their descriptions were optimized for search because they had all the other distribution channels. Indie authors who've been careful about keywords, categories, descriptions, and positioning, they've been building exactly the kind of structure, online presence that GEO rewards. The playing field hasn't tilted against you. If anything, it's tilted slightly in your favor if you do the work. So to wrap up, this isn't a crisis, it's a nudge. Get clear on what you write, say it the same way everywhere, and then get back to the work that actually builds a career. Because when you understand the game, you stop panicking. And when you stop panicking, you stop quitting. So rule number 1 is write the damn book. And rule number 2 is stay in the game. Everything else is optimization. So next week, we'll have another truth bomb you. Same honesty, no fluff, just the stuff nobody else is telling you. If you found this useful, hit subscribe, share it with a writer who needs to hear it. And if you've got a question you want to tackle, something you're stuck on, something nobody's explaining properly, then please just get in touch. So until next time, I'll see you then.